Mo Farah didn't even have to say anything. He just said the Prime Minister of your country, and everybody immediately started booing.
The Prime Minister of your country, not mine, saying he didn't want us to play. So your Starmer.
Legendary. Everybody probably saw at the weekend that Glastonbury happened. I'm sure everyone in my chat has seen the controversy surrounding things that have been said, what has been said, who did what the BBC did, what the response from the police and the state and all that stuff has been. Crash outs from Zionists. But Glastonbury, I think like it's important to preface this with understanding for people who aren't familiar with Glastonbury. Glastonbury in the UK has been a political festival for a long, long time. Ever since its inception, it was all about the hippie movement. It was all about peace and love, the 60s, etc. There's always been like a big presence of trade union representation, social movement representation, anti-war movements, peace movements at Glastonbury. It's been solidly that ever since its inception. And it's so funny that when capitalism tries to co-opt something, it inevitably shoots itself in the foot, especially something like Glastonbury. Especially in the current climate, it is by far our biggest festival as well. And of course, we've seen capital and the state shoot itself in the foot this weekend by desperately trying to say, we're not gonna broadcast Kneecap. We're not gonna broadcast any of their horrible Irish, Fenian, anti-British views at Glastonbury. It's not gonna happen. Insane. Barbara Streisand affected it into the stratosphere. You know, they were gonna do it, then they didn't. They said they weren't gonna do it. They are gonna do it, then they're gonna put it on iPlayer, but they're not gonna do it, and then they did it, and then they cut away. Hilariously, the BBC has not been able to escape from the politics of the artists at Glastonbury. And this is definitely something that you could say is part of artists who are aware that they have a platform and they are purposefully spreading their message because they believe it's important to spread this particular message, like particularly about Palestine. And also a lot of artists have also expressed their dismay at things like transphobia, queerphobia in the UK, anti-migrant sentiment. So there's been a lot of expression that has been broadcast and that has been highlighted by the mainstream media, even though they are criticizing it. I think the most important thing to remember is that what this represents, with Glastonbury being our most popular festival, is that it is a high key indicator of public opinion. The kind of people who go to Glastonbury are not necessarily punks and anarchists and communists, you know, crusty hipster theory nerds. It's not that kind of deal. It's for regular normal people. It's just for like legit normal heads. I watched Hassan reacting to the Glastonbury stuff on Saturday night, and he was like, this crowd would scare me. As like a white but Turkish guy, this crowd would make me feel uncomfortable. Like I'm about to have my whiteness questioned in this crowd. And it's true. Like it's like a huge, like not necessarily middle class, but like middle-aged white people, like overwhelmingly cis het people. You know, obviously it's not all cis people, it's not all heterosexual people, it's not all white people, but it is very that. But it is a key indicator that everything that Britain First and everything that the EDL and everything that UKIP and Reform are saying is just like not popular opinion. It's an indicator of that, and that's why the state is so mad at seeing it, and that's why there's been so much backlash. So let's get into it. Bob Vylan's a fucking sick art. They're a sick band. Important to remember, by the way, key distinction here, because I know that people are going to get this messed up. This guy is not Bob Vylan. He is one of two Bob Vylans. You got Bobby Vylan, this guy, and the drummer is also called Bobby Vylan. The difference being this guy spelt with a Y, the drummer spelt with an IE. So key indicator there. Get to know about Bob Vylan, the band. Really, really good tunes. Again, Kneecap have got great tunes as well. Like, this is the popular artists of our time, of our zeitgeist, using their platform to say what everybody's thinking. Also, I'm not entirely sure, like, there's been some kind of miscommunication or misinformation online, particularly where people are saying stuff like, oh, they were gonna stream Kneecap, but then they cut away, and then they went to Bob Vylan, and oh no, this happened. I don't think that is what happened. I think that they were, like, the schedule just said Bob Vylan, and then there was a big gap in between Bob Vylan and someone else, and they didn't stream Kneecap live. They just had a big like 2-hour gap where I guess they were going to do other content, so they were never scheduled, but it wasn't streamed anyway. That's the whole point, I think. I don't know if they cut the feed to Kneecap. I don't know if that happened, but so yeah, BBC really thought they had it all covered by not live streaming Kneecap set. Then comes along Bob Vylan. Yeah, chat, this is crazy. If you haven't seen this it's just wild.
Free! Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF!
Right, now, let's just I can't get over. Bobby Vylan is a legend for so many reasons, not just for like saying what everybody is thinking, but also the way he introduces this is just like it's so normal, it's so casual. Right, but have you heard this one though? This is like something that just like everyday MCs say when they're on a stage somewhere in some dive bar in Manchester or whatever, you know, all over the country. Right, have you heard this one though? At Glastonbury, he said what he said. Chat.
Hell yeah, from the river to the sea.
Chat, this is so bad and wrong, and no one should ever say this. It's so wrong to say this. You should never ever say death to the IDF. It's so evil. It's anti-Semitic, actually. It's anti-Semitic to say death to the IDF. It's bad, it's wrong. If you say death to an organization that babies, sexually assaults, Palestinian people to death, has drones that mimic the sounds of babies, women and children to lure people out of safe hiding, to shoot them, you know, has consistently operated concentration camps, bombs refugee camps, bombs people in tents, eviscerates entire family lineages. If you say that those are the bad guys or wish harm on them in any way whatsoever, you're an anti-Semite. You just hate Jewish people. Is something that Hitler would say, by the way. Like, equating the idea, like I cannot get it in people's heads enough. If you say that the IDF is a Jewish organization or Jewishness, like it represents Jewishness in any way, that is something that Hitler would have said. He would have said that. He would have said, yeah, these people who literally babies, Palestinian girls, women, men, literally Dr. Adnan al-Bursh to death. Multiple Palestinians this has happened to. Yes, that Hitler would have said, these people are the epitome of Jewishness. That he would have said that because he was a fucking anti-Semite. It is anti-Semitic to say that the IDF is representative of Jews. I cannot believe that this is the discourse that is happening. This is like saying death to the Nazi party. It's like saying death to the Nazi Wehrmacht. It's like saying death to the SS. Everybody knows that. Literally everybody knows that. There is not one person that this propaganda is working on anymore. It might be like some 60-year-old idiot somewhere, but even the people who support Israel at this time and the IDF, who are young or old or whatever, they will know that it's lies. They will know that it's lies what Israel is saying, but they don't care. We are at the point now where popular public opinion has reached the point where Bobby Vylan saying death to the IDF on a big stage at Glastonbury in front of hundreds of thousands of people, it's not gonna make people believe that he's an anti-Semite. There's just no way. We're at that stage. That's where public opinion is at. Now we need to move on and understand that pointing out the hypocrisy to people who support Zionism is meaningless because they don't care. This is the reality. They do not care. If they were to say, oh, it's time for me to flee Britain. It's time for me to flee Britain. This is exactly what happened during Nazi Germany. It's Weimar Germany. I need to get out. I need to leave. By saying, no, you're wrong, and pointing out all this evidence that we all know to be the case, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. These people are not serious. They are not serious. There very well will be a minority of extremely brainwashed liberal Zionists who are having a complete nightmare trying to reckon with the lifelong propaganda that they've had to endure and accept in order to be accepted into certain circles in society, Zionist society, and they will be having a nightmare trying to reconcile this stuff. Ethan Klein's a great example. There's a bunch of people that are a great example of this, but overwhelmingly, Zionism is the weakest it has ever been as an ideology. Not even just as an ideology. Israel is the weakest it has ever been in recent history. This is Bobby Vylan again, and this is just like a Bob Vylan track. I'm pretty sure this is just one of their tracks.
country back. Ha! Shut the f*** up. Heard you want your country back. Me too.
Listen, chat. This is the UK's popular opinion. The kind of rhetoric that Reform UK, all these fucking fashy knobheads have is grandad politics at this stage. All of these opinions, anti-migrant sentiment, anti-trans sentiment, it is granddad politics. You will find some young kids who are stupid and impressionable going around with Reform UK, right? I've seen it at fascist demos where we've gone as anti-fascists to counter demo. They've got some kids who are like just idiots. They're like completely blank slates. They've been propagandized by their parents. That's a minority, like an overwhelming minority. There have been so many studies that say that lie that young kids are swinging to Reform is just bunk. It doesn't mean anything. And the reason that Reform are getting the support that they're getting is because there is no alternative. That's the reason. And again, it's not a majority of the electorate who are planning on voting Reform in the next election. And the people who are planning on voting Reform are voting because they think, well, Labour and the Tories suck. They've both ruined this country. They're continuing to ruin this country. Zara Sultana said something, I don't know when she said it. When an MP is saying this stuff, it's very, very obvious that this is where the current politics is going, even electoral politics. She said in some interview somewhere, it's going to be socialism or barbarism at the next election. And she's right. There's a current leadership challenge in the Green Party, or maybe it's not a leadership challenge, maybe it's just coming up for election. The current front runner is Zach Polanski. He's overwhelmingly socialist. He's anti-Zionist. He's Jewish. An incredible candidate for something like the Green Party, like a socialist alternative. And he is running on a campaign of, we need to reform this party. We need to turn it around. We need to make it more radical. And he's, like I said, he seems to be doing really good. He seems to be one of the front runners. That's what we're going to be presented with at the ballot box on the next election. Obviously, that needs to be backed up with organizing and backed up with community defense, community support, all that kind of stuff. But genuinely, that is what we're going to be presented with. And this just represents popular public opinion. Let's take a look at some other stuff. So Bobby Vylan doing this is the main thing. We have got incredible. This is so incredible. And again, another example that people power wins. This revolutionary Helen Wilson, because the BBC decided to not broadcast the Kneecap set, live streamed the entire thing on TikTok. The entire thing. She's such a legend. So I don't know if this is from her live stream, but we got a little bit from Kneecap. We got a little bit from the boys. Let's see what they're saying in this one.
The Prime Minister of your country, not mine.
Mo Farah didn't even have to say anything. He just said the Prime Minister of your country, and everybody immediately started booing.
The Prime Minister of your country, not mine. Saying he didn't want us to play. So your Starmer.
Legendary. Keir Starmer is raging Glasgow to be prescribed next week. I don't even know who this band is, where they've got more action, more noise, less fear, free Palestine. I don't know who this band is, but again, another example. This is popular public opinion, and it also highlights the importance of artists, Tom York, to have the right message. Matt Healy from the 1975. At Glastonbury Festival, British star Jordan Stevens' mum joined him on stage waving the Palestinian flag. I don't even know who this guy is, but yet another artist. With a keffiyeh and a Palestine flag. Legend. And this is a guy wearing an England top. He's wearing an England shirt. This is just like normal people. It's just normal people, man. Normal people being like, yo, guess what? We stand with the people who are being genocided. Like, fuck off. You know, everybody can see it. The contradictions are so clear. So here's some more from Kneecap. This is a post from Palestine Action relating to Palestine Action's possible prescription.
Palestine Action isn't arming the genocide in Israel. That's Keir Starmer and the British government who should be prescribing.
Another artist here, Jade. Again, I don't know who Jade is. Never heard of Jade, but I'm going to be hearing loads more of them. Jade gets the biggest European music festival Glastonbury crowd to chant "fuck you" to reform, welfare cuts, transphobia, selling arms, and justifying genocide is such bad bitch behavior. It's everyone. It's everyone. This is a tipping point. The tipping point has been very, very obvious and coming for a long time. And here we are. Like, this is where we're at. We are at the point where this artist, again, never heard of him in my entire life. It's just because I'm old, by the way. It's not because I don't like popular artists or whatever. It's just because I'm 35 and I don't know what's popular anymore. The last time I listened to like a contemporary album was Brat last year. And of course, she was like, oh yeah, Kamala Harris is so cool. So I was immediately like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. All this stuff coming out of Glastonbury has made me feel quite a bit of sorely needed hope. Good, because that is the case. This is the thing. We overwhelmingly know what's going on. The British public. I had a taxi drive to my benefits appointment last week, and the taxi driver, you know, he was saying, oh, you're going to the job center? I was like, yeah, mate, it's fucking rubbish. I can't get a job. It sucks. Never had it this hard in my entire life. You know, I'm 35. I've got experience. It's not like I don't want to work. I'll literally wash dishes and I just cannot get a job. I don't know what's going on. And, you know, I'm barely getting any money to be able to like pay my rent. You know, had to fight tooth and nail to get the benefits service to pay my rent, and it's just like completely mental. And again, chat, the amount of benefits that I get on top of my rent goes down. You know, I'm gonna have to report this amount of money that I'm making via streaming this month, and they're gonna be like, oh, what's that? You made £400, £445 via streaming. Okay, see you later. £400 in a bit. They might even get rid of some of the rent money. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Like, I've not had my rent paid by benefits ever in my life, so I don't know. But he was like, I was talking to him, and all I had to say, yeah, was they have a blank checkbook for war. We're out here struggling, everyday people like me and you. I know that some taxi drivers could be petty bourgeois reactionaries. You know, they're self-employed business people, aren't they? But this guy was working for Uber, so it's not going to be like that. But he just agreed. He was like, yeah, ridiculous. Everyday people, the working people, know what's going on, and that's why it's socialism or barbarism. And it won't be popular public opinion if barbarism gets enacted. It will be the people in the positions of power who failed us, who decided to not give us an alternative, or the media class smears the Green Party or whatever socialist alternative happens or appears during the electoral process, and it will only inspire more violence. And as the empire, as the UK, Europe, America, Australia, New Zealand empire, as the sun sets on that, it's just going to get worse and worse for the people who live in these in our countries. And that's why we have to organize. That's why we have to be ready, you know, to basically create dual power and make the transition from capitalism to something else as easy as possible. This is a great take, by the way. Israel is toast. Whoring Western governments. I don't like this wording, but whatever. Israel is toast. Whoring Western government officials and media scum won't be able to hold the door shut much longer. Humanity sees what's going on and will never unsee it. I'm so sorry and ashamed for Jews and Israelis who become deranged mass murderers in the name of such a blatantly stupid and anti-human ideology. I think they will live to bitterly regret it. And I agree. It's so sad that he feels he has to apologize for this settler colonial ideology. I get it. I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, it's like, you don't need to apologize for them, man. We get it. Do you know what I mean? People who are not Jewish, if you're not like a rabid fucking reactionary actual anti-Semite, you're not gonna blame Jews for what Israel does. This is just the correct take. They cannot hold the door shut much longer. Everyone is sick of it. So another incredible band, again broadcast on live TV, Amel and the Sniffers Sniffers. By the way, this is a band that I have heard, and I love them. Another contemporary band that I have heard and I love.
I'm thinking about the people in Palestine. I'm thinking about they're from Australia. They ain't doing jack. I know yours ain't doing jack. And they want us to shut the fuck up. But I think it's better to say anything than say nothing at all right now.
Yes! It's better to say something than not say anything at all. Unless you're Tom York. He should have just said nothing. He just should have kept saying nothing. Fucking cowardly piece of shit, wet Willy Bellend. Someone make a compilation of newsreaders solemnly saying death to the IDF. I've not seen this yet, by the way. I've not seen this yet, but I know that this is going to be so British.
Have you heard this one though? Death to the IDF.
Death to the
IDF.
Free Palestine.
Death to the IDF.
Death to the
IDF.
Free Palestine.
IDF.
Death to the IDF.
Is this a different one?
Free Palestine and death to the IDF.
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 Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF.
Yeah, that one was a sick one. That's a classic drum and bass tune, that. Irish star CMAT surprised the BBC by leading a Free Palestine chant. I've never heard of these people before. I don't know who this is. I've never heard of CMAT. I don't know what that stands for. Apparently they're popping off as well.
Thank you so much. Happy Great Festival. Free Palestine.
Amazing. I'm literally just gonna be listening to so much music over the next, 4 weeks. It's gonna be crazy. Kate Nash does a speech during her performance at Glastonbury. Let's take a little listen and look at this.
Dismantling systems of oppression lies at the very core of feminism.
Hell yeah, dog. She's right.
Phobia is not f***ing feminist. This bullshit that the media is supporting. They're allowing these transphobic views to get really far in this country. It's very frightening. We're known worldwide in the UK for being transphobic, especially in our feminism. This is f***ing shameful. And trans people can't win this battle on their own. So if you're cis, if you're not trans, you need to get the f*** involved in this argument.
It's also so easy. If you're like a cis guy, like a cis queer guy, cis het guy, whatever, doesn't matter. It is so easy to go to a trans demonstration, a pro-trans demonstration. One of the easiest things you can do is annoy the people who go there to stream, because they are the most dangerous people next to the cops who go to those protests, who go to those demonstrations. People like Charlie Veach. I've been to pro-trans demonstrations where there have been guys like that, and all I had to do was be who I am with the privilege that I have and film them, because they're there trying to film trans people to put on their channel so that people can mock them for how they look, what they dress like, how they sound, you know, transphobia. And all you have to do is film them. And they get so mad because they're like, what you do? This is what we do. This is what we do.